So in this video, I'm going to show you how to actually connect to the VM you just created. For that to happen, the VM has to be fully running. So in the EC2 console, you should see that the status of the instance has been switched to running and that all the status checks have passed. Now if you select the instance, you will be able to see now a lot of information about it, such as the IP address. So obviously the IP address for your instance will be different than mine. And once you have that, you can actually connect. So the best way to connect is to use an SSH client. I find that basically a console interface works best. This is very easy for Mac and Linux, because you basically have one pre-installed. If you're running Windows, I strongly suggest that you install Cygwin, which gives you a Unix-like environment. It's free, it's easy to install, and it's easy to use. Well, anyway, the first thing you need to do before you can connect this, we actually need to get the encryption certificates that were used to create the instance. If you remember, when we created an instance, we actually store those locally. In my machine, those are actually stored in download. You can see that there is a .pem file and that the certificate. So the next thing to do is to actually move that certificate to where SSH expects to see it, which in my machine, that is in my home directory, on a directory called .ssh. Sorry, wrong command. Anyway, after the certificates have been moved there, we actually need to change their permissions. So by default, the certificate will be world readable, which is not something that SSH likes, and in fact many SSH clients will in fact just fail to connect or use a certificate that has those permissions. So what we need to do is we need to change that so that the certificate is only readable by you, and you can use the change mode command to do that. So now we see that the permissions are just set for me. Once you do that, you're ready to go. So we'll use SSH, and because we're using certificates, use -i, the -i command. We then tell SSH which certificate to use. And then finally, we tell it to connect to the remote machine as Ubuntu, which is the default user that exists on that machine. And we give it the IP address of the machine that we want to connect to. Obviously, your IP address will be different, but you can get it from the EC2 console. So you click enter, and the first time around it will ask whether you want to accept those credentials. You say yes, and after a little while, you are running in and running. So at this point, we are running on the remote host, and we're ready to go. We have obviously just a text-based interface, but there's quite a bit that you can do just with that. So the next step is actually going to show you how to get a graphical interface. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually I'm disconnecting from the remote host, and we get a graphical